Okay, so it will just give me a virtual device from where I can actually run my file. Okay, so once here you guys can see this is getting imported, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the Flutter tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 3 where we'll be creating a new project and we will be basically running it. So we are going to learn how to create a new project, and before that also we are going to learn that how you're going to set that project up. Okay, so we're gonna learn about all of this right over here into this particular chapter. So let's not waste much time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, now this is the home page of Android Studio. So in our last class, I do have showed you guys how you can actually install the particular plugin. Okay, so over here I have installed the Flutter plugin, and if you just go to this installed option, here you guys will be able to see what all you have installed. Okay, so automatically once I have installed Flutter, okay, I have installed Dart as well. Okay, so you guys can see here these are the features. If I wanna see the feature of Flutter, I can see the features of Flutter over here as well. Okay, if you do wanna disable those things, you guys can basically disable these things as well. Okay, so instead of showing the install option here, this is the marketplace. If you need other plugins, you guys can also get those other plugins from here. So now let's get started on creating a new project from the scratch. Okay. So if I want to create a new Flutter project, I need to click on new Flutter project right over here, which will give me a pop-up page quite like this. Okay. So under new project, you guys can see there are a lot of options, but basically I will choose the Flutter option from the left hand side. Okay. And from the Flutter option, the next thing what I need to do is they're asking me to put the Flutter SDK file, which is the software development kit file. So you guys remember that once we were downloading Flutter, I do have unzipped a particular file and I do have saved that into my resource file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that particular path right over here. So let's click on this particular option. And from here, you guys can see the Flutter tutorial resource file. And this is that Flutter file which I have extracted, and I'll just click on OK. And after clicking on OK, let's click on next. And once I click on next, they are going to give me a page quite like this. Okay. So over here, the first thing what I need to do is you need to choose out the project name. Okay. So I will just come here and I will just name this project as application 1. Okay, otherwise application underscore 1. And now I can also select the project location. So I'll just click on this three dot option. Let's click on this resource file and I'll just click on OK. So the project location is the Flutter tutorial resource file. And now I can also provide a description over here. So I will just write for my description that this is an application for my Flutter tutorial. Okay. So I'll just type this particular description. You guys can just type as you want. Okay. And after that, the next thing what I need to do is I need to select the project type. Okay. So what kind of project I will be making over here. So will I be making a plugin, a package, a module, skeleton, FFI plugin, an empty project? So as we are going to create up an application for a mobile, Okay, so for that, I am going to click on application right over here. And after that, you guys can see I do have the option of organization. Okay, so let me just show you guys a different right here of how this particular application actually works. Okay, so once you guys are actually creating an application, this is basically going to be the name or the what to say the address. Okay, so the as the name of my application right now is application underscore one. So my uh, domain is basically going to be com.example.application underscore one. So if you want to change it to a different domain, you guys can actually change it. Let's say if I want to change this particular word dot example, I want to put something else, I can do that. Okay. So you guys will be able to see this name, which I'll be showing you guys once I actually run my website or once I import my website. Okay, I'll be showing you guys that. And now the next thing is the Android language. Okay, so over here, what is the language I do want to use? So they're asking me that. Okay. So by default, as Kotlin is selected, I will let it keep as Kotlin. I do want to use the Java right over here. If you guys do want to use Java, you guys can use Java right over here as well. Okay. So that's it. And now the next thing is they're asking me about the platform. Okay. So for me, as I do want to create up a mobile application, I will just unmark uh, all these checkboxes, which is Linux, Mac OS, Wave, and Windows. So I'll just mark only the Android and the iOS checkbox. And here you guys can see that here you also do have the option when created, the new project will run on the selected platform and others. As I do have unmarked all of this, if I do want to add all this later, I can do that. As here it says that others can be added later. Okay. So once I'm satisfied with the project name, the project location, the description, project type, the domain, okay, and the language which I'm going to work on with. Okay, so I can just click on create. If you do want to see more settings, you guys can see the more settings option. This is the module name, the content root, or all these things are basically inside my resource file. Okay, so I'll just close this thing down and I will just click on uh, okay, but here it shows that invalid module name, which is Flutter tutorial, must be a valid Dart package name lowercase with okay. Click on OK, and let me just put application. And now, if I just click on create, so it will basically create me a Flutter project. Okay, so you guys can see the Flutter project is getting created. It is actually being imported. So I will just wait for it to get started. So now over here, I will just run the Flutter Doctor, and here you guys can basically see this is the page which will actually be shown. Okay. So now here, as you guys can see, you guys can basically maintain the place right over here, and you guys can just hide this as well. Okay. And from here now you guys can actually get this project file. Okay. So here you guys can basically see over here this particular Flutter resource file. So right now you guys might be getting a bit confused of where the file is, where we are going to code, and how it will actually work. Okay, so let's come here, let's click on project. And if you do want to run this particular project, I will be showing you guys how you guys will be able to do so. So there is this option of project, this option of packages. Here you do have the option of project files, the production option, the test option over here, project source files. Here you do have the project non-source file. If you do want to open up any files, it will be opened here. And also you do have the scratches and the consoles right here. Okay. So now we will see that how you will be able to actually get started or basically run the application which you have created. So now from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here into this particular option. Let's click on this main menu and I will just close this particular project. Okay. And once I have closed this project, you guys can see I do have my application one right over here. And I'm just going to double click onto this application one project. And here you guys can see if I just minimize, now I have basically opened up the application one, which I do have inside the Flutter tutorial resource file. Okay. So I will just open this thing up and I'll just keep this one quite like this. Okay. So over here, I have already told you that over here, I have told you guys about the project panel. I have told you guys about the packages. Okay. So I do have the project files over here. Okay. So then the production, then I do have the test, and here you do have the project non-source file, source file, scratches. There is the option of Android. Okay. So under Android, you guys can see that I do have the application one and also the application one underscore Android right over here. So for default, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this Flutter tutorial resource file right over here. Okay. So let's say if you do want to run your Flutter project right over here, you guys can basically run it right from here itself. Okay. So also on the extreme left hand side, you do have different options. One is commit, you do have the resource manager, the pull request, and there are also a few more tool windows. Okay, so if you guys will be able to data analysis, you will be able to see the app quality insights. If you do face any problems, you guys will be able to see that. The terminal option, you do have the Git as well. So from here now to run this one, the easiest one is where do you want to run it. Let's say if you do have a Chrome web over here, make sure to choose any search engine. You guys can use the Edge. Okay, if you do have the Edge browser, I will just run it on my Chrome web. And from here, as the main.dart is selected, I will just click on run. Okay, so over here, you guys will be able to see that it will just open my web application in uh, Google Chrome. Okay, so it might take some time for it to get started, but here, as you guys can see on my screen, already it had opened me this home page. Okay, so I will just decrease its size a little bit because I am basically creating up a web application. So for that, now let's decrease the size. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to keep this one in one particular side. Okay, so gonna keep this one over here in one side, and you guys can see that this is basically the Flutter demo homepage. And if you just increase the size here, also you guys are able to see that now this doesn't look basically as a mobile application web page. Okay, so over here, if you do want to increment, you guys can add that. Now let's minimize this one. right over here. And now I can just close this one up as well. Okay. So I do have closed this app up right over here. So this is one way of running your web application and to see how it actually works. And the other way of how you guys will be able to do is if you come here and if you basically add out a device. Okay. So if you come here and if you go to the device manager, or let's say, and from device manager, you need to come here on top. And on top here, you do have the option of adding a new device. Okay, so there is a problem with my code. Now this is fine. Let's click on create virtual device. And here now you guys can see, once you clicked on creating virtual device, here it shows that what kind of emulator or what kind of device are you planning to create. Okay, so you guys can select the phone. You guys can see a lot of sizes are over here. And if you basically want to import hardware profiles, you guys can also do that. You do have the option of Pixel 9, Pixel 6 Pro on different kind of sizes. If you want to do it for tablet, Wear OS, desktop, you guys can also do that. So let me just go with Pixel 9 Pro, otherwise Pixel 9, Pixel 8. Let me just go with Pixel 8 over here, and from here I will just click on next. And after that, over here, basically, they're telling me to actually download a particular file. Okay. So from here, now they are basically telling me that to download or operating system right over here. You guys can see that these are system images. Okay. So our system image must be selected to continue. So these are different kind of APIs over here. And also for demo, you guys can see this kind of APIs might not be available in the market as well. But for basically working over here in the Android uh, Studio here, they already do have all these options. Okay, so from here now, I am going to actually download one. Let's say I will just download this. And here you guys can see this particular thing is basically downloaded. Okay. So this is actually going to take me a lot of time, which is the size is around 1.6 GB. So till then, I'll just pause this video and we'll continue once this file is being installed. So now my OS over here has been installed. Okay, so I'll just finish it up right over here. And as you guys can see, now this is basically this OS, okay, which I can basically use. And once I click on next, here you guys can see that I can just pick the name. Okay. So the name over here actually consists of the name of the phone and also the OS that you're using. So I'll just keep it like this, the way it is. And the screen size is fine, very nice, which is Android 15.0, 64-bit. Preferred ABI, I'll just keep it optimal. Portrait, graphics, automatic, enable device frame. If you do want to get all the advanced settings, you guys can come here and you guys can basically get all the advanced settings right over here. And once you're done, now you guys can just click on finish. And now let's come here. If you do want to delete anyone, you guys can come here and you guys can basically delete anyone from here. So let's increase it right over here and you guys can see under the device manager, this both of these devices have been added. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do here is if I do wanna run it, I can actually run this one. Okay, so to start, once I run this particular emulator to open, it might take some time as well. Okay, so let's click over here, and you guys will be able to see that it will just take some time to get started. Okay, so here you guys can see to launch a virtual device, there were few options available, but now here you guys can see that it is basically connecting to the emulator. Okay, so it will just give me a virtual device from where I can actually run my file. Okay, so once here you guys can see this is getting imported, so I will just wait. So for me, I will prefer not to use it all the time. Okay. So if you just use it all the time, it actually takes a lot of space and it actually puts a lot of pressure onto your hardware once you're working. Okay. And once you have imported this here, you guys can see if you want to power it off here, if you do want a volume up or volume down here, if you do want to rotate it on the left, if you do want to rotate it on the right, if you do want to go back on anything once you have created your file, if you want to see the home page, if you do want to see all the overview, and if you do want to take a screenshot of your device here, if you do want to record screen this one, if you do want to take snapshots of anything, you guys can basically do that. And lastly, over here, you do have the hardware input option. Okay. So basically, you guys can see right over here. This is just like a simple mobile of how it actually works. And from here, now if you just go to the selecting device option, you guys can come here and you guys can select this Pixel 8 API as well. Okay. And from here, now if you just run it, okay, you guys will be able to see that here the application will basically get imported and you guys will be able to see how your application, web application, will will be seen over here into your phone. Okay, like how it will show right over here. So we'll see about that. So this particular thing also might take some time because as you are importing it for the very first time, your hardware and software basically need some time to adjust and basically process the whole thing. But once you do it again and again, basically it will just get used to it and it will not take a lot of time as much as it's taking right now. So now over here, as you guys can see, my web application has been imported over here in my virtual device. Okay, so basically it took some time for me to do that, but here you guys can see my web application is now being run over here and you guys can see it quite well. Okay, so if you just make any changes over here in the code, you guys will be able to see it live right over here. But the main thing is that I don't want to run it here in my visual uh, device. Okay, because it is putting a lot of pressure on my hardware, which is not good for the system. Okay, so instead, what I can also do is that I can connect my phone, whichever phone I do use, and I can just run the Flutter web application in my phone itself. Okay, so how you guys will be able to do so. So first thing, what you need to do is you need to stop the main dart over here and after that make sure to turn it off. And also, if you do want to delete it altogether, you guys can delete it as well. But instead, I won't delete it. But now let's hide it up. And from device manager, if I do want to connect it later, connect it later as well. Okay. So make sure to get yourself a phone. Okay. Or let's say make yourself to get your USB cable using which you're going to connect it to your PC. And also now how I'm going to show you guys that how I will be able to show you here in my PC that I have connected my phone. Okay, so I'll just screen share it. So for that, I'm just downloading one application which is known as Visor. Okay, so I'll just open it up over here and I will just double click for this visor. And also over here, you guys can see that you do have the option of Mac OS or Windows. So now basically I will just try to install the visor from here, and most probably Android USB debugging is enabled and all these options are right over here. Connect network or share devices, and I will just connect my phone with USB. So once you do that, I will just come here. Let me just close this one up. Okay. So let's come here, connect network on share devices, connect to an Android device with ADB over TCP, IP enabled or a visor share link. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can actually do that. It needs to install ADB drivers. Okay, so from here again, I will download the drivers. Uh, Download the drivers right from here. And this particular driver is around 16.3 MB. So I'll just wait for it to get downloaded. And once you're working over here, you guys need to make sure that you basically have uh, your device selected right over here once you work. Okay. And also you need to make sure that you do have your developer option on in your PC. So whichever phone you guys are using, if you just go to the YouTube, and from YouTube, if you just basically type uh, the model of your phone and then type how you can turn on the developer option, it will basically show you guys how to do so. Okay. And after that, you need to make sure that you connect your phone with the PC over here. So let me try to do so. Let's come here and let's double click onto this option and I will just click on next, next over here, next. And here you guys can see it is being installed. So once this is done, I'll just click on close. Let's close this thing up here as well. Show serial numbers or use Android SDK ADB server. No Android devices are connected with a data cable and USB debugging is enabled. So I need to make sure that the USB debugging is enabled. So let's come here. And I will just select or let's say connect transfer and connected device. So now over here, as you guys can see, I am able to see my device right over here. Okay. as you guys can see, and I'll be sharing the screen as well. And for that, what I'm going to do is again going to this particular application, Android Studio. And from Android Studio, now if you just go to this select device option, okay, here you guys can see that I do have my mobile phone as well. Okay. And from here, now what I'll do is I will just run this one. Okay. So I'll just run this right over here. And at the same time, I will just go to Visor, okay? And from Visor, I am going to view this device as well, okay? So I'm gonna view this particular device of mine right over here. And as you guys can see, uh, here is my device. So let me just close this thing down. If you do want to decrease the size, okay, I'll just decrease the size from here, and let me just keep this thing in one side. And over here now you guys can see that the demo page is being opened over here. Okay, so let me just keep this one over here in one side. Okay, so if you do want to make it full screen, okay, you guys can make it full screen as well. So I'll just close this down, and you guys can see that I can just go back. I can just go to my home page, and here I do have the recent task bar as well. So this is my phone, and I am able to show you guys how it actually works right over here. So from here, you guys can select the device where you want to show. Do you want to show it inside your phone? Do you want to show it on the Windows? Do you want to show it in any web browser? Or you want to show it inside these virtual devices which you have actually created? Okay. So starting these things for the very first time might take a bit of time, but with time, once you keep on doing it, it will basically be a lot easier. Okay, so let's come again over here in the visor. If you do wanna see it back up again, you guys can see it right over here. So using your device and viewing it actually takes or makes this particular thing a lot easier, and basically decreases the pressure on your device itself, because you are just coding here as well. And also if you're using the virtual emulator, it is actually putting a lot of pressure into your device. Okay, so it's better that you connect your phone and basically work with that itself. Okay, so yeah, I hope this particular class was clear for you all. So I hope to see you all in the next chapter where we're gonna learn more about this.